Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to our meeting today of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daley. Here. Senator Cannizzaro. Senator Krasner. Here. Senator Steinbeck. Here. Chair Orenshaw.
Present. Please mark Senator Cannizzaro absent and excused. A few housekeeping reminders. We do ask everyone to silence their electronic devices. If you wish to testify on a bill or during public comment, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card, if any, to our committee secretary. For those joining online, please be sure to mute your microphone when you are not speaking to minimize any background noise. When testifying, please turn on your microphone and clearly state your name and affiliation, if any, for the record. Then turn the microphone off each time you're done speaking. You should see a green light when you're speaking and a red light when you're not speaking on the buttons down there if you're testifying. If you're going to provide handouts, we ask for 20 paper copies for members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted in PDF form to our committee manager 24 hours prior to the meeting. We do ask for courtesy and respect during our interactions during the meeting, even if we may not agree with one another regarding a bill or a position on a particular policy. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. As a reminder, we may take agenda items out of order. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes. Today, we have one item on our agenda. We are hearing Senate Joint Resolution 9, sponsored by Senators Titus and Hansen. We are very lucky to have Minority Leader Titus joining us today. Thank you for being willing to present on short notice. Please begin whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chair and members of the Leg Ops and Elections Committee. I am Senator Dr. Robin Titus. I am from Senate District 17, which is 6 rural counties. It includes all of Douglas County, all of Lyon County, all of Churchill County, all of Mineral County, all of Esmeralda County, and a portion of Nye County, specifically Tonopah. I thank you for the opportunity to present Senate Joint Resolution 9. Quite simply, this resolution urges the Citizens Stamp Advisory Committee and the Postmaster General of the United States Postal Service to create a postage stamp recognizing and commemorating the contributions of John Snowshoe Thompson. Some background about Snowshoe Thompson. First, he was born in Norway in 1827, and a decade later, he and his family moved to the Americas. Like many young men, he headed to California during the gold rush days, but his dreams of striking it rich didn't, pardon the pun, didn't pan out. Thompson answered a call for help described in an article at the Sacramento Union in a newspaper for somebody to carry the mail from Placerville, California to what is now known as Genoa, Nevada. If you don't know where Genoa is, that's in my district in Douglas County, oldest settlement in northern Nevada. The oldest bar is there. You need to take a day going down 395. Before you get to Minden-Gardnerville, you head towards the mountains and you will end up in beautiful Genoa. The article that he read said, "People lost to the world, Uncle Sam needs a mail carrier," explaining how heavy mountain snows had cut off communication with people east of the Sierras. The postmaster in Placerville, California, gave Thompson the chance to make these deliveries since his contact carrier had somehow disappeared. However, he could not promise him any pay since the carrier was unavailable to sign the contract over to Thompson. Snowshoe Thompson was undeterred. He completed his first trip across the Sierras in 1856 after crafting his own skis based on his childhood memories from the Norwegian winter travel equipment. His skis were made from oak, were 10 feet long, and weighed 25 pounds. He helped haul parts of printing press to Genoa, which first produced an issue of the Territorial Enterprise in 1858. The newspaper eventually relocated to Virginia City and became famous through Mark Twain's news reporting. Often traveling over snow 20 to 50 feet deep, Snowshoe Thompson generally needed 3 days to travel to Genoa, returning to Placerville in just 2 days' time. He made this mail run at least twice a month, every winter, for 20 years, carrying heavy backpacks weighing up to 100 pounds. Hailed as a hero, Thompson rescued many travelers from the deep snow during his treks across the Sierras. In 1866, Snowshoe Thompson homesteaded land near Minden, Nevada, and Diamond Valley on the California side, and married a woman from Genoa, Agnes Singleton. Ironically, the United States government never paid him for his exceptional mail delivery service, so he petitioned Congress without success. He finally traveled to Washington, D.C. to plead his case in person, but the government denied his claim. Thompson died in 1876 of appendicitis complicated by pneumonia. After a well-attended funeral, he was buried in the historic Genoa Cemetery. In his memory, songs were written, monuments were created, and statues erected, including Genoa's famous bronze statue. Quite the story. Looking at the resolution itself, I believe the whereas clause provided a good description of John Snowshoe Thompson, his background, the challenges he faced, and he overcame in delivering the mail every winter from 1856 and 1876. The measure also acknowledges his heroism in aiding individuals caught in the snow. The final whereas in the resolution clause states that on April 30th, 2027 is the 200th year anniversary of his birthday, concluding that issuing a commemorative stamp in his honor would be the most fitting occasion for this. Lastly, the resolved clause notes that the legislator's support for the stamp, urging the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee and Postmaster General of the United States Post Office to approve this proposal. And just kind of a background on how the stamp process works. You have to submit the request in a stamped envelope. You can't fax it to them, you can't email it to them. They require that you actually mail them a request. So hopefully this passes both houses and we can mail them this Senate Joint Resolution to the Stamp Advisory Committee. The Stamp Advisory Committee is made up of multiple citizens. And what they do is they recommend that if you have a suggestion that you do it a couple years in advance, because it takes a couple years to approve it. So that's why we're starting now. Looking at in the 2027 would be his 200th anniversary, giving them adequate time to come up with a stamp between now and then. So that's the timeliness of this. And it has to be, again, in a stamped envelope. We have to, also new, this is interesting stuff that I found out since putting all this together. In 2018, if you're gonna do something to honor a person, they can't be living any longer. In 2018, they changed the regulations. They have to be deceased at least 3 years. I think that Snowshoe Thompson meets all the criteria for a stamp honoring him. So having said that, I have a few other things to just understand what a wonderful accomplishment that this man did. I've left on your desks a pamphlet, a guided maps to plaques. So on your free time, if you really want to go down and get immersed in this, and driving down south, if you leave from Minden-Garnerville and you go up Highway 88, you go up into Hope Valley. It's a fun place where I've actually skied on these skis I'm going to show you, and it's just amazing that he made it with these skis in the couple days that he did, and the fact that he was never reimbursed for his time and energy, I think is pretty. Suggested that this man needs some more honoring, and a stamp would be just the appropriate thing to do. Sitting next to me here is a decanter. I actually have a couple of these guys. I don't know if you back there have any of these decanters, but this is a depiction, a special Snowshoe Thompson. He was called the Pathfinder of the Peaks. And if you know about decanters, this one was made, it's called a Cyrus Noble decanter, and it's a straight bourbon whiskey in there. And so this is what they depicted him as. And then if I might, Mr. Chair, go to the skis?
Please go ahead.
Great.
Minority Leader, thanks.
In the mining camps that he competed in Johnsville, which is in Plumas County. And so these skis, if you look at that picture there, you put your boots on, you tie them in, you have a heel, and then you push off this way, going down the hill, and then you stop by sitting on your skis like this to stop. And you can, as some of these members might testify to, you can do kind of a cross-country. If you've ever been a cross-country skier, you know your heels are not locked down, and you kind of do a turn like this. If you're gonna turn, you can get on your skis and you just shift your weight. These are not 25 pounds each. I carry these up the mountains. They're heavy, but these are not oak. This is straight grain pine, and so they're a little bit lighter. Typically, when I store them, I put a little log in between to keep the camber in them. I took that out today. And then when I was competing in where I was going, I was the only Nevadan on the longboard races, and so I put the little Nevada State silver there, to know everybody I was proud Nevadan. My tip is broken because I've crashed a few times in these things, and that's what happens. And I guess Snowshoe Thompson did not use wax when he skied, so he never won his races. I waxed my skis. And so that's the picture of the longboards. And finally, if I might, Mr. Chair, I have Snowshoe Thompson, a lot of people haven't heard of him, but he's a pretty famous guy. And I'll turn my mic back on. And so those of you who know who Johnny Horton is, kind of an American folk singer, but he liked to traditionalize some of these famous people that he admired. And if you'll bear with me for a couple minutes, I'm going to play a tribute to Snowshoe Thompson by Johnny Horton.
Please go ahead. Thank you, Minority Leader.
In 1855 in old California, a man was a-looking in the paper one day. Uncle Sam needs a postman to carry the mail through the high Sierra Mountains over God-forsaken trails. Snowshoe Thompson told him, he swore he was the man. I'll get through them mountains if anybody can. He took a pair of snowshoes, he took a pair of skis, and lit out through the mountains where a normal man would freeze. He was cautious as a mountain cat, fleet as a deer, tough as a grizzly bear, he knew no fear. He lived a life of danger, bringing mountain people news, 'cause Snowshoe Thompson packed the mail on through. In the high Sierra Mountains, it was 32 below. Blue blizzards fairly whistled, bringing 40 feet of snow. No one dared to venture on the slippery mountain trails, but Snowshoe kept a-comin', he was packing U.S. mail. His face was weather-beaten from his many rugged miles, but he knew it was worth it when he'd see the people smile. His deeds are not forgotten, listed in the Hall of Fame. They're changing Old Squaw Valley to Snowshoe Thompson's name. He was cautious as a mountain cat, fleet as a deer, tough as a grizzly bear, he knew no fear. He lived a life of danger, bringing mountain people news, 'cause Snowshoe Thompson packed a mail on through.
And that is a conclusion of my presentation, and I'll have a final comment, but I will step back at this time.
Thank you very much. Well, members, I have a few questions. I don't know if members have any.
Shoot.
The skis you've brought us here, do you think that they are pretty close replica to what Snowshoe
Right.
Thompson
Again,
used when he
they're-
was delivering the mail?
Very much so, except they're made out of pine instead of oak, and a lot lighter.
And the length,
Mine are about
they were this
12
long?
feet long, and for sure, I don't know, and maybe some other folks behind me can actually address the length of his, but I think they were 12, about this length.
Great, thank you. And then doing a little research online, I read that sometime, in the 1800s, the Nevada Legislature actually passed a resolution asking that Congress reimburse Snowshoe Thompson for his services, and it seems like the federal government didn't listen. Are you more optimistic that this resolution might get heard if we send this to Congress? I'm a little worried that, given what happened in the 1870s with the resolution asking that Snowshoe be paid, maybe this one will fall on deaf ears as well.
Well, the good news is this doesn't go to Congress. This goes to the Stamp Advisory Committee. And from the research that I've done, they're very good about if there's enough meaningful content in issuing stamps. So we're hopeful that this will get some traction and moving forward. And again, thank goodness it doesn't have to go to Congress.
Okay, and then one follow-up. You mentioned that if the resolution passes, it needs to be put in an envelope with a stamp on it and mailed to the Postmaster General and the Stamp Advisory Committee.
Right.
I don't want to be negative or borrow trouble, but If it gets return postage due, do you anticipate any problems with the resolution being considered by these federal officials?
Yes, I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna take it down to my local postal agent and make sure we have proper amount of stamps on this when we mail this. I'm not gonna count on this building to mail it for me.
Thank you, Minority Leader. I'll open it up for questions from members if there are any questions. Senator Krasner?
Thank you for your presentation, Senator. Can a regular citizen send an application to the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee and Postmaster General of the United States Postal Services and request a stamp? Or does it have to be a legislator, and does it have to go through a legislative committee like this is and go and get a vote and everything?
Every citizen has a right to send, if they feel that they have an art that they want to submit, if they feel they have a person they want to honor, any citizen can do that. What we're looking at is using, sending this and letting them know that the state of Nevada would like to do this. And so that's why we're approaching it from this, in honor of his 200th birthday. Certainly, all of us can send letters for any individual, so they have equal right. And it's really, if you're interested at all, just go on to, you can just Google, how is a stamp made? And they will give you a stamp selection process, the stamp subject criteria, so that any person, the top things is U.S. postal stamps and stationery will primarily feature American or American-related subjects. Other ones are considered. The Postal Service will honor extraordinary and enduring contributions to American society. And so we felt that this gentleman certainly meets all the criteria, even more so since he never got paid.
Thank you very much. Any follow-up, Senator Krasner? Senator Steinbeck.
First of all, thank you. Great presentation. It's great to have something fun come through, so appreciate that. Is there any opposition?
Not that I know of, because I think it stands with everybody has a right to submit.
I mean, no, like, public outcry that we
No,
shouldn't,
not,
that
now,
we're not
now,
aware of?
there is some interesting thing that we will have later on. As you see this gentleman, we have him dressed in what's called the E. Clampus Vitus outfit, and that is who is represented today behind me. Now, there may be a little thing with a fun little opposition on the floor when they have their E. Clampus Vitus Day. They were a mining fraternity, and that's a different ball game. So that'll be a little bit more fun later on. As far as why would somebody oppose somebody who did so much for the U.S. Postal Service getting an honorary stamp, I haven't had any pushback yet, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate what you're doing here, and certainly I know that there are a lot of memorials to Snowshoe around the state, and appreciate all the work that's been done to try to, honor the work he did. I'm not seeing any other questions. I'll open it up to support of Senate Joint Resolution 9. If there's anyone who wishes to speak in support, now's your chance to come forward. Thank you for joining us today. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
I'm Stephen James Martin-Will. I'm from the chapter 1827. Stephen James McMartin-Wills. I'm from the chapter ECV 1827 Snowshoe Thompson.
Thank you for joining us today. Please proceed.
Thank you. So as a member of E. Clampus Vitus, the members of Snowshoe Thompson are encouraged to model their lives after snowshoes. And that means helping others in need, even if they offer nothing in return. Humbly serve our community. Don't deny anyone our help. Lead a strenuous life. Do hard things. Facta non verba, deeds not words. And live as men of action. So we also have several charitable organizations that we are involved with. Solace Tree, it's dedicated in Snowshoe's name of our chapter. We donate that. That's for young adults that have been through tragedies and mental health issues. We do a lot with Computer Corps, Friends of the Sutro Tunnel, which is another big part of Nevada. And, the Douglas County Historical Society, which we like to work with, and, we have volunteer days at the museum. We're currently working on our own exhibit in the Genoa Courthouse Museum, so that's what
It's really awesome, everything you're doing. And Minority Leader Titus had mentioned that Snowshoe's buried in the Genoa Cemetery. And I understand that there are some tours, sometimes historical tours, where people can go and tour the cemetery and perhaps tour his grave site.
Yes, they can.
Thank you. Thanks for your testimony. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
My name is Bo Alexander Valerie, and I am an ex-humbug from the Snowshoe Thompson chapter of E-Clampus Vitus, which means I was the president of the chapter for a year and got to put up one of my own plaques dedicated to part of our Western history. E-Clampus Vitus is a historical and benevolent society, and I'll just give you a little history of the chapter and why, Steve talked about why we follow Snowshoe, but, he's the hero of the Sierras, and that's why we chose to dedicate our chapter to him. In 1942, we received outpost status from our Grand Council to be the first chapter in the great state of Nevada. Prior to that, E-Clampus Vitus had only been in California. Our first history trip was to the town of Ragtown near Fallon to honor the pioneers on that important oasis after crossing the 40-mile desert. The main speaker was Clamper brother Dr. Charles Camp, who at that time was the sublime noble grand humbug of all of E-Clampus Vitus. He was the dean of paleontology at the University of California and discovered and researched the ichthyosaur in central Nevada and the establishment of the Ichthyosaur State Park. Noble outpost members from the Carson Valley include George Montrose, Bill Mall, Harry Hawkins, and Bert Selkirk. And then in 1956, we received our official charter from the Grand Council to become a chapter. Our first plaque was Snowshoe Thompson's home in Diamond Valley, California. And since then, we've placed 79 plaques, with 7 of those being dedicated to Snowshoe himself. Notable charter members from the Carson Valley include Fred Dressler, Ernest Bassman, the Dangberg brothers, and the Chamber twins, Myron and Byron, who actually knew Snowshoe Thompson and saw him come sailing down the mountainside at Monitor Pass on Christmas Day, 1875. Ever since then, we've been doing our history trips and putting plaques up in our territory, which includes Douglas County and Alpine County, Nevada. And as Dr. Titus said earlier, if you care to take a trip down through Genoa in that area, we have a lot of history. One of our plaques is actually on the St. Charles right across the street. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I noticed Minority Leader Titus there's a picture of a statue of Snowshoe in the brochure. Is that something that's put up by E-Clampus Vitus, or was that just put up by the city of Genoa?
That was not actually done by the chapter. We did donate to that, but I think, was that actually the Friends of Snowshoe Thompson that did that? Yeah, that's the Friends of Snowshoe Thompson, which is the brochure that was handed out to you. Yeah, that was that group. But we volunteer with them every year, and we're trying to help keep them going because they're unfortunately languishing. So,
Thank you. And members, any questions for our co-presenters? No. Please state your name for the record and proceed, sir.
Yes, my name is Bryce Ryan Lister. I am the Roisterus Escutus for Snowshoe Thompson chapter, and I'm also the historian. I'm also the president of the Friends of Snowshoe Thompson in Genoa with this brochure right here. We're just here in support for the stamp. I think it's such a wonderful idea that we can do something like that for Snowshoe. And just to put it on the record, it is an honor to sit next to the only known non-open decanter of Snowshoe Thompson that exists.
Don't you even get any ideas?
Yes, and we will not. So, thank you very much for allowing us to be here, and for Dr. Titus to allow us to be here as well.
Thank you very much. And if this resolution is successful, and if the Postmaster General and the Citizens Advisory Council do decide to issue a stamp in honor of Snowshoe Thompson, do you think that's something that you and your friends would use when mailing letters?
Absolutely, 100%. I cannot wait to mail a letter.
Thank you. I'm glad that's on the record. Thank you.
yeah, we have.
Sorry. Please state your name for the record.
Oh,
just for our
sorry, Bo
transcript.
Valerie again. We have something like 55, maybe close to 60 chapters throughout the whole West Coast, and it would be awesome to be able to send a mailer to those chapters with an actual Snowshoe Thompson stamp on it. I mean, it would just, I don't know if they would notice it when they actually look at it in the mail, but man, it would make us feel just incredible to be able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Members, any questions? No? Well, thank you for your testimony. Thank you. If there's anyone else who wishes to speak in support of Senate Joint Resolution 9, you're welcome to, or you don't have to. Here in Carson City. Okay, we'll go down to Las Vegas. Is there anyone in Las Vegas who wishes to speak in support of Senate Joint Resolution 9? Don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcasting, would you open the phone lines and see if there's anyone who wishes to speak in support of Senate Joint Resolution 9?
Yes, sir. The public line is open and working. We have no callers at this time.
Okay, then I'd like to go to neutral. Is there anyone who is neutral on Senate Joint Resolution 9, wishes to be heard, either here in Carson City? I didn't see anyone down in the Las Vegas hearing room. Broadcasting, would you open the phone lines for neutral testimony? Anyone who's neutral and wishes to be heard?
The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you very much. Anyone opposed to the measure who wants to be heard here in Carson City? Down in Las Vegas, I didn't see anyone down there. Broadcasting, anyone who's opposed to Senate Joint Resolution 9 who wants to be heard on the phone lines?
Once again, no callers at this time.
Minority Leader Titus, if you'd be willing to make some closing remarks, we'd sure appreciate it. Thank you for the excellent presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of this committee for hearing what I think is a very worthwhile bill. And I ask for your support of this resolution, and I hope that you can agree that issuing a commemorative stamp is the least the U.S. Postal Service can do in honor of the man who risked his life delivering the mail during Nevada's territorial days and early statehood. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate the presentation, and, I was just thinking that, I cannot think of a postage stamp right now that's named after a Nevadan. Maybe I'm missing one, or someone who spent, contributed a lot to our state, even though, Snowshoe had roots in Nevada and California. But I can't think of one. So I think this might be, maybe if it passes and becomes a stamp in his honor, it might be the first in honor of someone who's got such connections to Nevada, unless I'm missing someone who's been honored by a postage stamp from Nevada or with deep roots to Nevada like Snowshoe, but no. Elvis. Oh, yeah, Elvis, I guess, yeah. The vice chair told me Elvis, yeah, so I guess, all right. Well, you've got one then, so Elvis Presley. Oh, is there a stamp in honor of Sir William Bucks? I'm not sure either, but, well, thank you for the excellent presentation. And we'll close the hearing on Senate Joint Resolution 9. And the last item on our agenda is public comment. So if there's anyone who wishes to make public comment, we do limit public comment to 2 minutes per speaker. And public comment is about something that other than the bill hearing that we just heard. So if anyone wishes to make public comment here in Carson City, you're welcome to. Didn't see anyone down in Las Vegas. So no one's coming forward here in Carson City. Broadcasting, anyone on the phone lines who wishes to make public comment.
The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. I want to thank Minority Leader Titus for this excellent presentation. Thanks to all the representatives from E-Clampus Vitus who testified in support, and friends of Snowshoe Thompson. With that, we are adjourned.